Okay, here's the thing. The biggest issue with the Bridgerton series is the excessive amount of violence that's used to try and drive the plot forward. Like, literally, Daphne Bridgerton assaults her husband to be able to get a baby the way that she wants, and then it doesn't actually produce a baby, which is good because, like, you know, that would be an assault baby, and no one wants to deal with an assault baby in a book because how much can you forgive anyone for that? But then her husband forgives her, and it becomes this entire thing where it's treated as if it's his fault. And did he lie to her? Yes, of course he did. He lied. But does that make it okay what she did? No. Would it be known that it's not okay what she did back in that time period? Also no. But are we going to ignore that fact for this? Yes, because it was still wrong. Okay? Like, there are things in time periods where you can look at it and be like, oh, well, for the time period, like, you know what? I see how this was written, I see why this is written, and I can understand this. But this was not actually for the time period. This was Julia Quinn writing these books in the 90s going, you know, it would be really fun. And then it wasn't. And there was also no reason for it because there were 1,600 things that could also happen in these books. And then we have Colin Bridgerton, like, actively grabbing his fiance at a party so hard that he knew that she would wake up with a bruise in the morning, and he was like, but it's for the best because at least he's not getting mad in front of people. He's just abusing her. He's not getting mad in front of people, and then we're supposed to forgive him for that because they have sex. Literally, we're supposed to forgive him for that because they bang, and he saves the day, and everything's wonderful. And I could actually write an entire thesis on how Julia Quinn definitely thought Colin Bridgerton was like Wesley the Dread Pirate Roberts from The Princess Bride. But I'm not going to discuss that now. I'm not, because what I am going to discuss is the fact that I'm not actually a huge Bridgerton person for the reasons that I have just listed. It's really hard for me to read Bridgerton. I've only read 2.5 of the books because every time I read the books I get to a part where I'm just like, and yes, I know that's 2 out of like 12, but still there's just so much violence for no reason and anger for no reason that it's very hard for me to read them. When I read my Regency romances, I like for there to be a formula, and I like for that formula to contain no violence. And if the formula does contain violence, I like the formula to have violence for a specific reason, and for the person who is violent to not be a romantic interest. And if the person who is violent has a romantic interest, I want them to have an actual, like, you know, coming around first. I want them to be changed. I want them to learn. I want them to grow. And if they're not going to learn and they're not going to grow, then I don't want them. And that is where I am bringing in Lisa Kleypas. Lisa Kleypas is the Regency Romance author of my dreams, okay? And not only does she Regency Romance, she also does family lines, but when she does family lines, she does it based off of the entire world that she's built. So it's not just all of, like, this one film. It, like, exploded. Like, the straw went up. Okay. That didn't work. That worked a little better. Okay. What was I saying? Anyway, so Lisa Kleypas has this thing where instead of her being like, this is just empty now, I'm really sad because I have to go out and get oat milk now. I don't wanna get oat milk. This is about the Lord St. Vincent marrying a young wallflower whom, like, she basically coerces him into marrying her. She has this terrible stutter, so people can very rarely understand her. She comes from an abusive household because of the stutter and because her father, who owns a gambling hall, is like, you shouldn't be raised by me. I suck. I'm dirty. I'm lecherous. People don't like me. You should be raised by your cousins, because your cousins are clean, well-bred people. Be, like, raised by them and then go marry, like, a lord or something, because you have the, oh my god, the word, the chink. Wait, is it the chink? Wait, one second. In Romeo and Juliet, there's a line in Romeo and Juliet, after Juliet and Romeo have met, and Romeo's like, who the hell was that? That was, like, one hot woman. I think I'm gonna marry her because I think that's my soulmate. And the nurse goes, okay, so the nurse goes to get Juliet, and she's like, Madam, your mother craves a word with you. And Romeo goes, what is her mother? What, meaning who here? And nurse goes, Mary Bachelor, her mother is the lady of the house, and a good lady, and a wise, and a virtuous. I nursed her daughter that you talked withal. I tell you, he that can lay hold of her shall have the chinks. The chinks meaning the money. She'll have all the guy who marries Juliet Capulet will be rich beyond reason, which is a quote from Cinderella. But anyways. Back to this. So Sebastian is marrying Evangeline because she goes to him. She's like, hey, remember how in the last book, like, remember when we last saw each other, you were actually actively trying to kidnap my best friend to marry her? I need you to marry me. And Sebastian was like, wait, what now? And she's like, yeah, I know that you just got the shit beaten out of you because you kidnapped my best friend, because her future mother-in-law told you to, and that was like an entire thing, and you feel badly for it now, and I respect that you feel badly for it now. And also your ex-best friend, who will one day be your best friend again, did in fact, like, you know, beat the shit out of you and get mad at you and ditch you from his entire life. But I need you to marry me now, because I know that you're poor and you need my money, and we can get married real quick by going to Scotland, and then you'll be my guy. You'll be my guy. And he's like, I'm so confused. And it's because it's confusing. It's because it's confusing. But she was like, no, we're gonna get married. And then they do. And it seems like they're just gonna get married and nothing else will happen, because she's like, well, I have no interest in, like, banging you. You can keep being the whore that you are. Just use my money. Keep me protected. My family's abusive. I don't want to be near them. My father's dead. You can, like, run the gambling hall or sell the gambling hall or whatever. Just, you know, protect me. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna protect you. I'm gonna protect the crap out of you. And then he, like, accidentally falls madly in love with her, and the best husband is a rake, and it's perfect and it's amazing. And then they have multiple kids, and then this is the story of their first kid, their first son, who's not named after his father because the father's name is Sebastian. His name is Gabriel, but he is named for his father in that he gets his father's title, Lord St. Vincent, because the father becomes a duke. And this guy is, like, also known for being like his dad, because they look exactly alike and they have the same title, and he is kind of a hoe, but he's a hoe for, like, specific purposes, whereas the dad here is just a hoe. Like, he was the biggest whore in the entire world. Like, he was the rake to end all rakes, and everybody knew it, and he just, like, ruined many a woman. He does not ruin women. He just has a mistress until he meets Lady Pandora Ravenel, who accidentally gets, like, trapped in a settee. Like, her gown is trapped there while she's trying to save her friend's earring from, like, you know, being discovered, because the friend is married and was having an affair, but Pandora didn't know that, because the friend was like, I was having a rendezvous in the area with the settee. Could you just go get my earring for me, because people are going to start noticing that I've been gone for so long. And Pandora's like, yeah, bestie, I got you. I have no interest in dancing with anybody, because she doesn't actually want to dance with anybody. She doesn't want to be there because, A, past trauma that makes it so that she can't dance. She has, like, an ear infection that keeps her, like, from having the full ability to, like, stand straight on her feet. So if she twirls, she falls. And because if she twirls, she falls, she avoids dancing by pretending that she's, like, slammed her foot in a carriage, or had a horse step on her foot, or she's a little sick, or she's a little drunk. So she just continuously pretends to not be able to dance, because she can't dance, but no one can know that she can't dance. So it's like the secret that she keeps with her and her twin. So she goes to get the earring, and when she goes to get the earring, it's, like, trapped in this area, so she's trying to pick it up, and her entire dress gets caught. Her entire dress, like, this entire gorgeous ball gown, gets caught in the settee, and she starts swearing, but she starts swearing in the way that young ladies in this time period would swear, so she's just like, bollocks, 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 which, like, even at the time period was a swear, but it wasn't, like, a swear, and Gabriel's like, what's going on? And she's like, can you help me get out? And he's like, absolutely, if you tell me why you're here. And he starts, like, teasing her, like, very, very much, because he was only at the party to see the fireworks, and she was only at the party to, like, let her sister have a good time. And then they get caught together, and her dress is all torn, and people think that he has, like, assaulted her, but, like, no one actually thinks that he's assaulted her. It's just that people are like, people are gonna talk, so you should get married. And she's like, I don't want to marry you. And he's like, well, I don't want to marry you, but there might not be a choice. And she's like, well, I have no interest in marrying you. My cousins, who, like, are raising me and protecting me and say, like, all that jazz, because her parents are dead and her brother is dead, so she's being, like, watched over by her cousin who has his own book. My cousin said that I don't have to get married if I don't want to because we have more than enough money for me to not get married, so I'll just go to the Americas and start my board game business there. And he's like, why do you have a board game business? And she's like, why don't you have a board game business? Anyways, this girl, Pandora Revenel, has ADHD and autism. And she's also the reason that I kind of started realizing that I might have ADHD and autism, which really means the entire world should... Every day this happens. Okay, we're back. And I honestly really wish that I had a bigger, like, I wish I had 3 cameras, one on me and one on each of my dogs, because they're just sitting here, and if I move this camera system, they'll move. So I can't prove that they're here, but, like, there's the head. Okay. So, Pandora Revenel is one of the main things that, like, made me start realizing that maybe I am autistic or ADHD, because this girl is so autistic coded and so ADHD coded, it's actually crazy. And I think one of the best examples is on page 85. She admits, I rarely walk in a straight line. I'm too distractible to keep to one direction. I keep veering this way and that way to make certain I'm not missing something. So whenever I set out for a new place, I always end up back where I started. And she's talking to her guy. So he, Lord St. Vincent, turned to face her fully, the beautiful, cool blue of his eyes intent and searching. Where do you want to go? The question caused Pandora to blink in surprise. She'd just been making a few silly comments, the kind no one ever paid attention to. It doesn't matter, she said prosaically. Since I walk in circles, I'll never reach my destination. His gaze lingered on her face. You could make the circles bigger. The remark was perceptive and playful at the same time, as if he somehow understood how her mind worked, or perhaps he was mocking her. Which is like, this man actually does understand her, but she immediately comes to the conclusion that maybe she's getting mocked because she's so used to getting mocked because people mock her all the time. So anyways, and there goes the puppy. Then on page 126, they're talking again. This is like my favorite passage, and I didn't realize I didn't have it bookmarked. Yes, I bookmarked them with dog ears. I'm not going to be shamed about it. I refuse to be shamed for dog earing pages. You can come up. Come on. Come on. Good job. Muffy is now up. Max, you're invited. Okay, so Pandora has just been telling Gabriel's little brother or little nephew, he has a little brother and a little nephew who are like the same age, because his mom and dad got so busy all the time that she wasn't actually going through menopause when they all thought that she was, and meanwhile their eldest daughter had a child. So like, terrible. Wonderful, but also terrible. Anyways, so Gabriel barely listened to the exchange. She was like walking with his little nephew to go take back some of these like hermit crabs that they had like collected, because like she was like, no, we've played with the hermit crabs enough, now they have to go back to the beach, which is just like very adult of her, but also like, you know, super necessary. Hello, now we have them in the right area. So, Gabriel barely listened to the exchange, his gaze fastened on Pandora's retreating form. She went to the verge of the high water mark where the sand was glossy and stopped to pick up an interesting shell. Glimpsing another one behind her, she retrieved that as well, and another. She would have continued if Justin hadn't seized her hand and tugged her back on course. Good God, she really did walk in circles. A pang of tenderness centered in Gabriel's chest like an ache. He wanted all her circles to lead back to him. And this is the moment where he like finally realizes that this is the girl for him, and this is the girl that he wants to be with, but he's realizing that he wants to be with her specifically because she's a girl who like has the ADHD and has the autism, and she doesn't fully understand how the world works in the ways that other people understand how the world works, and she definitely thinks on a completely different plane of existence, because I think that autism and ADHD are superpowers in very specific ways. No, could you be Superman with them? Obviously not, but could you be like Professor Xavier with them? Yes. And I stand by that, okay? Because people with autism and with ADHD just have minds that work a little differently. So anyways, this is a book where... Sorry, this one just makes me so warm and fuzzy that sometimes I just like hold it to my chest, and it just makes me really happy, and I read it at least once a year because also the audiobook narration is so good. Like, do I own a physical copy of this book? Actually, I think I own multiple physical copies, but I only know where this physical copy is at any given time. But this is a book that is so good and so gentle, but Lisa Kleypas has this amazing formula, and the amazing formula is, get this, amazing. And she makes it so that it basically starts with the couple meeting. They don't always know, like, if they're going to be the couple that get together. So with these two, the formula is actually very similar. Couple meets and they basically have no choice but to get married for some reason or another. Then they start falling in love. There are circumstances that are making them unsure if they can fall in love, like self-doubt from one of them to another, to like whether or not they're basically worthy of love. So Pandora, who grew up in a really like chaotic household where her parents kind of withheld love, like they would withhold, I don't know, parents shouldn't withhold anything from their children, so why are they withholding anything? But her parents were literally terrible. She only grew up with a twin. She wasn't really raised to be a lady. So she doesn't actually think, in a lot of ways, that she's worthy of love. And meanwhile, the original Lord St. Vincent, Sebastian, is also someone who, like, grew up in a kind of chaotic, messy household and didn't think that he was worthy of love, which is also why he decided that kidnapping was the only option on how he could, like, get a woman. So hard to explain unless we discuss the kidnapping book, and I don't want to discuss the kidnapping book right now because that is a book that I will just be comparing to Pride and Prejudice the entire time, and I'm not going to do that right now. So anyways, Sebastian keeps like avoiding getting with Evangeline because he's like, I just am not worthy of you. You're perfect and amazing and wonderful, and I am a rake and a jerk and the worst. And then once they finally realize that, like, they're married and they're in love and love is a good thing, they start, like, working together and things are going good. And both of these are very business oriented. So he's running Evangeline's family business and she is trying to get her board game business off the ground. And because of that, like, it's very much focused on what they have to do to make sure that their businesses are like being run properly, and the spouses are helping with that. Evangeline's father is dying in this, or is already dead. Dying is already dead. I haven't read this one in a hot second, so I can't completely remember. And Pandora is just trying to like figure out how to be a wife in a world where she was never planning on being a wife, which is also like, this girl is like what Eloise is supposed to be. Okay, wait, I have a great line for this. I have a great line for it. Wait, I have an even better line for how she's autistic. Okay, she continued to stare at him, a twitch of worry appearing between her brows as she realized there was something she was supposed to know. Something she should have understood. And like technically that's about her not actually understanding what sex is, because like women aren't taught in the world what sex is. But I also think that it really like shows a great way of like how she just doesn't see the world in the same way that others do, because her sister probably does know what sex is. Her twin sister, who had the exact same upbringing and life as her. Where is the passage that I am looking for? What was the passage I was looking for? Max, what was the passage I was looking for? Also, but while I'm trying to figure out what passage I was looking for, because now I can't remember what passage I was even looking for, which is terrible, most of this book is just him trying to court her until it's not, okay? This man is like continuously trying to court her, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, she's like in love with him, and she knows that she's in love with him, and he's in love with her, and he knows he's in love with her, but she doesn't want to be with anyone. She's always been very set on not like being with anyone. So because she's always been very set about not being with anyone, she really has a hard time saying yes to being with him. And because of that, like, she keeps finding excuses, and a big excuse is that because of her ear issues where she like doesn't have the ability to balance, she's like, I can't be with someone because like, you're Prince Charming, you're a prince, you're Prince Charming, and Prince Charming shouldn't be with a girl who can't even waltz. And he's like, what the hell does waltzing have to do with this? And she's like, it's a metaphor for everything that I can't do, that I would need to do as a lady of the house, as a duchess, as like, I can't do those things. And he's like, well, we can figure out how. And then he takes the symbolism literally, which I think is the most romantic thing ever, and he figures out how to teach her how to waltz. And they do like a slower, older version of the waltz, because the version of the waltz that's just in their time is a little too fast for her, and that's why she always like loses her balance. And he says, forget your sense of balance and use mine. I'm rock solid. I won't let you fall. all the time and neither of you look, but you're looking in this. This is comedic gold, actually. Like, thank you. But I do that all the time and they never look. They were just doing that because the camera's on. I don't know how they know that the camera's on, but they know. Okay. And then she realizes that she wants to marry him and she sobs. Like, not just crying, like actual sobbing, because she realizes that she doesn't want to live in a world where she's not married to him, but she also doesn't want to live in a world where she's married. So, like, it's a really big thing for her, and this is, like, the Eloise of it all. Oh, I was looking for the passage where she discusses how she doesn't... Okay. Not that one. I was looking for the passage where she's trying to explain why she doesn't want to get married. One of my favorite passages, though. I can't believe I don't have this highlighted. Okay. Because this is the most relatable part of the entire thing. Also, guys, I know that I'm supposed to probably edit these, but I'm probably not going to edit these nearly as much as a lot of people are going to expect me to edit this. This is just going to be a video. And also a podcast, if I can figure out how to, oh my god, look how freaking cute this stupid dog is. And also a podcast if I can figure out how to remove the sound from the audio so I can post it on Spotify. Okay. So he goes, "Does your mind ever slow down, sweetheart?" And she says, "Not even for sleeping." And if that's not the most relatable thing that an ADHD person has ever heard, then I don't know what is, because literally my mind has never once slowed down. I literally woke up at like 5 or 6 this morning and I just kept thinking of this one thing. So even in my dreams, I was just continuously thinking about it and I would like wake myself up and it's actually terrible. Here that is. Okay, Eloise Bridgerton doesn't want to get married and she's all, ladies shouldn't have to get married, like we're treated like we're nothing, blah 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 blah, and it's supposed to be feminism from that time period, but like a lot of the way that she does it is very, it just feels so off. It feels fake. It feels like fake feminism. Like Julia Quinn just kind of read a book on what feminism is and went, well, I'll just put that in a like 20th century, I'm an idiot, a 19th century character. But here is Lady Pandora Ravenel's reason on why she doesn't want to get married. Okay, so she and Lord St. Vincent are talking and she like doesn't fully trust him at this point because she's like, I'm basically positive that you're just not going to want to marry me, or you're just doing this because you're a gentleman, and I have no interest in marrying someone who doesn't want to marry me, but I also have no interest in marrying anyone ever. And he goes, "You're not here to win my approval. I invited you to find out more about who you are." And she goes, "Well, that won't take long," Pandora muttered. In response to his quizzical glance, she continued, "I've never been anywhere or done any of the things I've dreamed about. I haven't finished becoming myself. And if I marry you, I'll never be able to be anything except Lord St. Vincent's peculiar wife who talks too fast and never knows the order of precedence for the dinner guests." Hanging her head, Pandora swallowed against the sharp constriction of her throat. She was like about to cry, and like, anyways, then he like distracts her and they start talking again, and she goes, "What kind of flower is that?" And he goes, "Sea bindweed." Lord St. Vincent guided her face back to his. "Are you trying to distract me, or did that question just pop in your head?" "Both," she offered sheepishly. Amusement flicked one corner of his mouth upward. "What would it take to keep your attention fixed on me?" Pandora stiffened as his fingertips traced the edge of her jaw, leaving behind a ticklish trail of warmth. Her throat felt thick, as if she'd just swallowed a spoonful of honey. "I am paying attention to you. Not fully." "I am. I'm looking at you, and..." A shaky breath escaped her as she recalled that Lord Chatworth had called this man a notorious rake. "Oh no, I hope this isn't..." "You're not going to kiss me, are you?" One of his brows arched. "Do you want me to?" "No," she said hastily. "No, thank you. No." "Dude, we already have people home. There's nobody outside. It was literally a car. It was a car going off. Can we not? Can we not? Can we not, bro? Can we not? Can we not? Can we not? Are we chill? Are we chill, bro? Okay, cool." Stop being a babe. Okay. So So then she says that she'd rather not be courted, and he's like, can you help me explain why? And this is the part that I've been looking for. Okay, not the Eloise part, because I can't find the Eloise part for the life of me, even though I literally just had it a minute ago, and I should have read it when I had it a minute ago, but I didn't read it when I had it a minute ago, so now I just have to do this. Okay, so she says, I just know it would turn out badly because Pandora hesitated, considering how to explain the side of herself she'd never liked but couldn't seem to change, the side that perceived intimacy as a threat and feared being controlled, manipulated, damaged. I don't want you to find out more about who I am when so many things about me are wrong. I've never been able to think or behave the way other girls do. I'm even different from my own twin. People have always called us hellions, but the truth is, I'm the hellion. I should be put on a leash. My sister is only guilty by association. Poor Cassandra. Her throat cinched around an ache of misery. I've caused a scandal, and now she'll be ruined, and she'll end up a spinster, and my family will suffer. It's all my fault. I wish none of this had happened. I wish. And then he comforts her, and he does it, like, really well, and he's, like, so good. He's, like, full-on logic, which is, like, the #1 way that you can comfort people. Especially, like, I think it's, oh, hey, when'd you do that? Do you see that? I'm sure you guys saw, but I didn't see. You're so quiet. You're so quiet when you're not being a naughty little butthead. Okay. So he says, your family isn't as fragile as all that. Trenier is more than capable. Trenier is her cousin, who is like her guardian. Trenier is more than capable of seeing to their welfare. Your sister is an attractive girl with good blood and dowry. And even in the shadow of family scandal, she won't go unmarried. His hand moved over her back with easy, hypnotic strokes until Pandora began to feel like a cat whose fur was being smoothed just the right way. Slowly, her cheek came to rest upon the smooth linen weave of his vest, her eyes half closing as she inhaled the hint of laundry soap and the crisp, resinous dryness of cologne on hot male skin. Of course you don't fit in with London society, he was saying. Most of them have no more imagination or originality than the average sheep. Appearances are all they understand, and therefore, however maddening you find it, you're going to have to heed some of the rules and rituals that make them comfortable. The unfortunate fact is, the only thing worse than being a part of society is living outside of it, which is why you may just have to let me help you out of this situation, just as I pulled you out of that settee. And she says that she'd rather not marry him, blah, 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 blah. And then they discuss it, and then she tells him that she has like a nervous condition, and then they make out, and it's really hot, because Lisa Kleypas writes smut well. She hides the fact that she writes smut well, but she writes smut very, very well, and people ignore that. People ignore that Lisa Kleypas writes smut well, unless you know to read Regency Romances. But you know what time period this book came out in? It was like 2017. Yeah, this book came out when like 50 Shades was still quite popular. There is a scene where he ties her up with a corset, fully consensually, very protectively, super hot. And meanwhile, I could go on, okay? Because I should go on, because I really think that this is one of the best books, like, ever. For so many reasons. There are so many people who don't appreciate this book, but this book should be appreciated. This book is magical. This book is amazing. This book is everything to me, okay? And also, when Penelope Featherington, soon to be Bridgerton, lets out one more lady whistle down column to be like, hey, I'm not Cressida Twombly, fuck her, and Colin gets mad at her, and gonna read the passage, so mad about it, gonna read the passage. Colin Bridgerton was famous for many things. He was famous for his good looks, which was no surprise. All the Bridgerton men were famous for their good looks. He was famous for his slightly crooked smile, which could melt a woman's heart across a crowded ballroom, and had even once caused a young lady to faint, dead away, or at least to swoon delicately, then hit her head on a table, which did produce the aforementioned dead faint. He was famous for his mellow charm, his ability to set anyone at ease with a smooth grin and an amusing comment. What he was not famous for, and in fact what many people would have sworn he did not even possess, was a temper. And in fact, due to his remarkable and heretofore untapped self-control, no one was going to get a glimpse of it that night either, although his soon-to-be wife might wake up the next day with a serious bruise on her arm. "Colin!" she gasped, looking down at where he was gripping her, but he couldn't let go. He knew he was hurting her. He knew it wasn't a terribly nice thing that he was hurting her, but he was so damned furious at that moment, and it was either squeeze her arm for all he was worth or lose his temper in front of 500 of their nearest and dearest acquaintances, which is the sort of thought that an abuser has. I'd like to make that clear. I'd like that to be noted. All in all, he thought he was making the right choice. He was going to kill her. As soon as he figured out some way to remove her from this godforsaken ballroom, he was absolutely going to kill her. They had agreed that Lady Whistledown was a thing of the past, that they were going to let matters lie. This was not supposed to happen. She was inviting disaster. Ruin. Okay. So then there's this part where Pandora, in the magic of her book, she is trying to do the board game thing, and while she's trying to do the board game thing, I need to take a moment to breathe. Let's all breathe together. Let's have a sip of coffee. Let's you and me. I'm still so livid about Colin just deciding to grip his fiance's arm to the point of bruising, because as someone who grew up in an abusive household, this is never okay. Anyways, so Pandora meets a woman who she wants to run the factory to like put her board games together, She's specifically going to have like a woman-led factory with a woman-led service staff, because so that women who are unmarried or living in poorer households can have a job, because this is like very exciting for her, and this is very much something that she wants, and she's gonna make sure that she can get it because she wants to help women, which is, you know what, fucking incredible. But then the woman has like a mysterious visitor delivery man person come and like drop something off, and Pandora sees a little too much, and the woman basically kicks her out, and Pandora talks to her footman, who's also her bodyguard, because Gabriel's like, yeah, you're gonna be running a business in London, and you have the worst, most raging ADHD I've ever seen of anyone ever, and sometimes I worry that you might accidentally walk into the road because you want to pick up a shiny penny, which is totally cool, totally chill. I just want someone to make sure that you don't do that, so I'm gonna hire one of the bodyguards from the gambling hall that I run, and he is going to make sure that you don't do that. And she calls him Dragon because his name is Drago, and she's like, well, I'm never gonna remember I say Drago, but I would love to call you Dragon. And he's like, no way. And she's like, do you like having the beard? Because footmen aren't supposed to have beards, but if I can call you Dragon, you can keep the beard, and I can call you Dragon. And he's like, okay, and then they become best friends, and this is amazing. But anyways, so Dragon goes, and he like goes into the warehouse again to see what's going on, and he finds traces of things that are used to make bombs. So then Gabriel comes home, and Dragon tells him everything that's going on. And it's like, yeah, so there are like bombs in that factory. I burped. Okay. Excuse me. Dragon is like, there are bombs in that factory, which is like, you know, not chill, not the best place, but Pandora also saw things that she was definitely not supposed to see, so like, this could be really dangerous, this could be really terrible, and Gabriel's like, oh my god, and he freaks out, because his wife is in danger, and he knows that his wife is in danger, but you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't yell at her. So he goes up to her room where she's like changing for dinner, and he hears her lady's maid kind of berating her, because her lady's maid always berates her, but her lady's maid is also the only person who can get Pandora's hair to do anything, because it's too like luxurious and thick and straight, and Pandora's like, I need curls in my hair, and she's the only one who can do it, so like I let her berate me a little if she wants so that I can have perfect hair, which is like so girl of her, you know? Anyways, Gabriel goes in while they're changing. This is also the 50 Shades of Grey part, a little bit, okay? But like, again, fully consensual and not used as like a punishment. Okay, so Pandora stood still, radiating nervous energy as Gabriel came farther into the room. I suppose Dragon talked to you. He arched a brow at the nickname, but didn't comment. His gaze took in the worried pucker on her forehead, the twitching fingers and fidgeting toes, those eyes as round as a punished child's, and a feeling of overwhelming tenderness poured through him, as it should for your wife. Why are you uneasy, my love? Why are you uneasy, my love? Oh, why are you uneasy with me, my love? He asked softly. I thought you might be angry because I went alone into the warehouse. I'm not angry, just slightly tormented by the thought of anything happening to you. Taking one of her hands, Gabriel drew her to a nearby chair and sat with her slight weight on his knee. She relaxed in relief, her arms linking around his neck. She was wearing perfume, a light touch of something flowery and crisp, but he preferred the silky, salty fragrance of her unadorned skin, more potent than any aphrodisiac. Pandora, you can't take risks by going into unfamiliar places without protection. You're too important to me. Besides, if you would deprive Drago of the chance to intimidate and oppress people, you'll demoralize him. I'll remember next time. Promise me. I promise. She laid her head on his shoulder. What's going to happen now? Is Dragon going to tell the police about what we saw? Yes, and until we find out whether or not it's worth investigating, I'd rather you not venture far from home. And then she starts trying to defend the woman who, had bombs in her factory. Because she's like, she must be a good person. She seemed like such a good person. I really liked her. And Gabriel's like, let me caution you, love. Sometimes people you want to believe in will disappoint you. The more you learn about the world, the fewer illusions you'll have. I don't want to become cynical. Gabriel smiled against her hair. Being just a little cynical will make you a much safer optimist. And then he says, now. Okay. And then he says, now, let's decide how I should punish you. Punish me? Mm-hmm. His hands wandered over her slender bare legs. You can't learn your lesson properly if I don't reinforce it. What are my choices? They all begin with removing your drawers, as in her undies. A smile deepened the curve of her cheek as he sought her lips. There's not enough time before dinner, she said, squirming as he reached for the drawstring just below her waist. You might be surprised what I can accomplish in 5 minutes. Based on recent experiences, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And then he ties her up with the corset, but it's so hot and it's so good and it's so cool. And it's very well written, and also she feels safe the entire time with him, and it's not abusive, and he's not actually punishing her. It was just a joke about punishment, but he was never actually gonna punish her, because you don't punish your spouse. You don't punish your spouse, Colin. Take a note out of Gabriel's book, Colin. I think about it a lot. I think about it often. This is honestly one of my favorite books. And it helps that Penelope's 28 when she's getting married, and I'm 28 right now, and it's a very special book to me for that. But the entire rest of the book is so good and so well written, and then all of a sudden violence. Out of nowhere. Really bad violence. Ridiculously bad violence. Terribly bad violence. This girl literally gets stabbed in the neck by the woman who was making bombs. And still no violence. Still not as bad as this. Why? Anyways, the Lisa Kleypas series, especially her Wallflower series and her Ravenel's series, are so incredible and so good and so non-violent while there is violence, because her climaxes always contain violence. One of the people in the couple is almost going to die. But when one of the people in the couple almost dies, it takes turns between books on who's gonna get hurt. So Pandora gets hurt in hers, but her twin sister's boyfriend gets hurt in his. It's a turns thing. Gabriel's dad gets hurt in this one. It's an entire thing. Also, Pandora and Gabriel's dad have so much in common in such specific ways. I never thought about it until I started making this. What was I saying? I was saying something. It was a thing that I was saying. Anyways, no violence. There's violence, but there's no violence between the couple, because why would there need to be violence between the couple for a plot to move forward? The couple's not going to be violent to each other for a plot to be able to move forward. No, because you can add a bad guy in for that, and Lisa Kleypas always adds in a bad guy, and she adds in a very well-written bad guy with a very interesting backstory to make sure that the bad guy has a reason to be bad. It's not just hold your wife too tight because she disobeyed you, or, you know, like his sister did, rape your husband so you can have a baby. No, there's a bad guy, because there's actually always an option to add in a bad guy. It's like very easy. It's very well done. It's a very simple option that can be done with ease, and instead of just not doing that because you're a dick. I'm not calling Julia Quinn a dick, but I am calling her writing style and feeling the need to like add violence for no reason dickish. Okay, anyways, I'm actually gonna go drink my coffee now because I've only had like 4 sips, and that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I really want to drink coffee, but I also really want to listen to Devil in Spring again, even though I've already done my yearly re-listen, but I might do another re-listen. Because again, the audiobook's incredible. The actress who does the audiobook, Mary Jane Wells, makes Pandora sound like Audrey Hepburn in the best possible way. She sounds like Audrey Hepburn, and I'm just happy the entire time I listen to it. And also, all of her male voices are done so well. She has to do so many accents. Because Pandora's brother-in-law is Welsh, and she just does it so well. Like, Mary Jane Wells is a genius, a mastermind, an incredible actress, so talented, ridiculously good at everything that she does, an icon. I could say on for more, like go on for years and years and years, but I love Mary Jane Wells and I love Lisa Kleypas, and I think that everyone should be reading more Lisa Kleypas, and I would really love if someone would turn Lisa Kleypas's book series into a new Regency Romance TV show. I would watch all of them. I would watch all of them, okay? That's my dream in life. I would watch all of them with joy, with vigor and joy. Okay. But I don't know why I just did a peace sign. Bye!